And welcome to the second meta matchups from the Brid Sages. This is Freeloader. I am here with Subaiku and Thomas. Subaiku, how's it going tonight?
Fantastic.
And Thomas, how are you doing?
Pretty all right.
All right. So, for those of you who were with us last time for our first meta matchups, just to give you an idea of what we're doing, we are taking some of the more predominantly seen decks in the meta right now and trying to give you just a little taste of how those matchups go. What you're seeing right now is my screen. We will add through a little movie magic Sabaiku's hand. Oh, that's where it will be. On top of that, to the left, you'll always see my deck list, just like that. And to the right, you'll see Sabaiku's deck list, just like that. And with that, we're going to get into our first matchup, which, as you can tell, is going to be a Shadowfen Control into an Ironclad Rush. So let's go ahead and challenge Subaiku. There you are, sir. Let's get into it.
Freeloader wants to battle me. No thanks, I'm busy. All right, and here I am going first with a starting hand I don't love. I'm going to throw away the Wind Makers because I don't expect that to be useful until a little bit later in the matchup. And I guess we're just looking to put some movement out into the board.
Unfortunately, with an Ironclad Ozone type of deck, Unhealthy Hysteria generally doesn't do a great job against many Shadowfen decks, as you can tell from the uh, Rain of Frogs spamming, and so I'm not in love with that, but since you have the full combo right then and there, it's okay.
Yeah, my concern is that I might be so far behind by the time we get there. If I don't draw something to play next turn, I might not be able to play it. I might be breaking that combo up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of hands we don't like, this one's atrocious, Thomas.
That's brutal.
We're going to potentially play this card, so I think the right thing to do is to cycle this one away to try to keep them together. And oh, did we draw dead? Oof. Unfortunately, there's not much better, so we go for it.
Oh, you hate to see that.
Yeah, this game is very likely over before it started because of the draw, but we'll see if we can't turn it around.
I think that's incorrect. I would have done Witches just to keep my opponent from being able to get at that spot because a Green Gale is going to do a decent amount of work there.
It's true.
But with only 4 mana, Green Gale doesn't leave me a heck of a lot to do here. So I'm going to try to take advantage of the gift my opponent has given me and just lay down the unstable to just really lock in my front. And the only way he's going to be able to clear that is with Siege Breakers.
True.
Which sadly we don't have in the deck.
And if you had it, you probably would have played it last turn because it's way better than Rain of Frogs. The other nice thing here is that we have the combo we talked about last turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just not a lot of good options here. We're going to throw this away, hoping for the dream of a 1-mana card to help us out, and we don't get it. Oh, well, I suppose the easy play here, Thomas, is to just do this and at least try to stave off some damage for right now. I can't see
I'm not going to
anything
tell you
better.
what is correct or
Yeah.
incorrect until after you actually make the play. And I think I would have done Toad because, yes, you would have taken 5 damage. Subaiku's not going to be at 6 mana until Toad moves forward to eat up the rest of the unstable build.
That's fair. That's fair. The good news is we have options now.
What I don't like is that you took my unhealthy hysteria play and you nipped that in the bud just because the fluffy is too strong for that. So I am actually stuck making plays that I don't like here. just because I expected to draw a 1-mana card and I didn't get it. So I think what I'm going to do is, unfortunately, I think I'm going to break up the combo here.
Oof. I would have done linked golems another cell back to weaken fluffy bad boxers, so you could then do the combo on a guaranteed 6 strength unit.
My thinking here is that he's probably going to have to play onto his baseline in order to defend this, because that's a lot of strength there.
Good
He knows
point.
I run Hearthguards. So
Yeah,
if he takes all 10, then the Hearthguards might do some work and finish him off. So he's still got to play defense.
good point.
And
We'll
I
see what
think
happens.
defense is exactly what we intend on playing here. We're going to, unfortunately, take a little bit of damage, but it won't be too much. And I think that's okay. I'm really tempted to keep both of these because this is going to be an odd mana turn next turn. So I can't think of better cards to have in hand right now than these two to help play a little defense.
Yep, agreed with that. I normally like to play the green prototypes when I can for that efficiency, but not when you've are about to hit a odd mana turn like that.
Oof. Green Gale does some work here for sure.
See which way the bounce goes.
50-50? Never lucky.
Not the way I wanted. Not the way I
Really?
wanted. Well, I could have completely locked you in.
Oh, that would have been unfortunate.
And just in case you play a runner of some kind, we'll let that happen.
Well, I won't lie. This feels bad. That opener for us has just really punished. Looking at this, I actually think, oddly enough, this is the card that goes. So I'm cycling it through. And the reason why is because I'm pretty sure I'm playing Toad here. And Saber is the best card to kind of help block off the second row. So yeah, we're going to throw away Recruit, see what we find. We find Trekking just a little too late. So we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And we're going to go aggressive. And we're just going to have to take the damage, unfortunately.
Yep, that's the correct play. Saber Paws should have been on the left-hand side to
Play
prevent
around
a little bit of
Windmakers.
Windmaker.
Yep. It should have been in column A. That is true. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that we're really learning too much about this matchup. This is just a bad opener.
Yeah, so I am going to just take advantage of your bad opener here and put some beefy stuff kind of in the middle of the board and see if I can make that work.
Oh, man. So, mana turn 8, we finally find Hunter's Vengeance, which would have, not for nothing, completely changed the entire fabric of the beginning of this game. Unfortunately, now I feel like it's a little too late. And I think the play... Oh, man. I want to play Hunters. I really want to play Hunters. I think we actually throw... I don't think there's a better play than this. We just have to hope to get... clog up the board a bit. And we don't... Yeah.
Not enough, yep.
Exactly. So we know most of these opponents are playing Hearthguards, and so that being above 7 life is kind of a big deal. So it would have been better to play the Rain of Frogs first to see how plugged up your second row would have gotten, and then to potentially cycle Hunter's Vengeance to get another low mana cost card to continue filling up the rest of that second row.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yes. My argument would be that an opening hand of Klaxi, Tiger, Fluffy, and Rain does not make for a particularly good
Great game.
defensive opener, and then not finding your AOE literally until mana turn 8
Yeah.
is pretty brutal. I don't know what you
Yeah.
can take away from this particular matchup aside from don't draw dead.
Your deck does have the tools to beat this back between Trekking Alderman and Hunter's Vengeance. One of those early, I think, makes a really big difference there. What I think probably helped me the most, aside from your terrible draw, was just being able to put the unstable down early too. Your deck doesn't run siege breakers, so that's just so hard for you to deal with. It's really going to let me keep the pressure on.
Well, so in my playing so far this month with this deck, unstable hasn't been an issue. It like structures are on occasion a bit of a nuisance, but unstable itself has not been that big of an issue. Just drawing dead like that, I don't think I've lost with this deck to an Ironclad Rush, but maybe twice, and both times there was just sort of a late Hail Mary Ozone Hysteria win kind of pulled in. It hasn't been the unstable that's been as problematic as actually just having something that's right around 7 or 8. Like Toad a lot of times grows to just the wrong strength now, and represents lethal a lot. But overall, the control deck in that matchup, I think, is favored. Although, again, with that opener, I don't think I don't know that there's many control decks that can bounce back from that bad of an opener.
Yeah, now going back to what Thomas said, maybe just throwing out the witches early instead of clogging up your board with the Rain of Frogs, maybe that would have helped.
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, it
But
certainly.
it
Yeah.
sure didn't it sure didn't feel good for you, no matter what.
No, not really. All right. Um. So do we want? Do we want to like? I can cut that out if we want, or we can just move on and just say, oh well.
Let's move on, and then depending on how fast these other ones go, we can retry it.
All right. Well, in that case, let's challenge Subaiku again. This time we are going against a Swarm mid-range deck.
Yep, I'm ready to go. And this time you're going first.
Well.
Oh boy.
And that's the dream
Went
for
from
you.
the worst opener that you could get to probably the best opener you could get. Nice.
I'll say this, it's a legendary heavy opener.
And then, of course, the classic Swarm midrange / rush, whatever you want to call it.
Nothing to do here, but what's standard? Just get out into the middle of the board and put the biggest unit you got down.
So, no matter what,
I was hoping the head start landed in front of the trekking, I think, but oh well.
No matter what, we want to cycle, and we should cycle first. There is the possibility that we pull green protos, and that changes our opinion of what to do here.
So this feels like you're just going to annihilate me with witches.
I actually think that's not right here. I think it's
Well,
better to.
it could leave you front.
I think it's actually better to play Toad here.
I definitely agree with that. He's going to try and do the normal shenanigans of just putting it up along the side, and you're still going to get another chance to play witches.
Yeah, but hear me out, because I have so many cards that I can play this turn, and because I can make a board grow, I think the right thing to do here is actually this.
What in the heck are you up to?
So I know it looks weird because in theory, I am the aggressor in this matchup, but I know that he can abuse trekking. I know that I haven't seen my power cards yet, right? Like I have Zuri and Bucks.
So I think
Like
we take the confusion
Yeah,
here.
that's fair. I'm surprised you didn't do Hunter's Vengeance gifted.
Hunter's Vengeance gifted was my original thought, but the thing with that is I'm leaving this unit of his on his baseline.
Well, it would have just been non-existent.
Well, sure, it would have been non-existent, but I'm not all that worried about a unit on his baseline, right? It's right. So now I still have Hunter's Vengeance.
I suppose.
And the question is, do I even want to use it here?
It does do some work for sure.
Yeah, but I could also witches onto his baseline.
Ooh, that would feel pretty good.
That would feel pretty good. I think we would. You know what? I'm gonna actually save that one. No, because I'm thinking Hunter's Vengeance next turn. So we witches onto the baseline.
That's a big boy.
And we let our opponent know. I actually like keeping everything I have. Yeah, this is okay. We're not worried about Forgotten Souls yet. We are worried about Bucks, but good lord. All right.
I'll bite. We'll see how this goes. I don't love doing this play because it does. I'm not dead to Tigor. I am dead to Salty Outcasts. But it's not easy for you to put in multiple runners at 7 mana.
No, it is not.
Because you got to clear the Bucks to make room for Saber Paws. So it's hard, but I'm gonna give it a try.
Man, it is so tempting to just go aggressive here. Yep, I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. This is crazy, but I'm going to do it.
Now you're saying basically clear that or just be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and you should have put trekking one to the left, because the Forgotten Souls can still send that in. So if he
Understood.
got the nuts luck of another Zuri, he could still win.
Oh, I didn't think of Zuri.
Yep. So yeah, you always want to try and get the Forgotten Souls to not be able to push the big boy in.
I did not consider Zuri. I was trying to play around runners. But yeah, Zuri.
All right, let's go for broke here. That goes in. That goes up. We get some pings. And you win the game.
Wait, how would I not have won the game?
If all the pings went onto that 18 strength, I would have had room for the Wild Saber Paws to go in.
Oh, that was close.
I
So what's the
needed.
answer of this matchup? You go aggressive. If you think your opponent is playing Bucks deck, you go aggressive.
That was right. That was the issue with that I right when he played Zuri, your initial knee jerk reaction is, "Oh my god, there's so much value on the board. I've got to get rid of it." But recognizing that he played Zuri only into the middle row meant I had 2 turns before I had to worry about Forgotten Souls. I don't need to play Hunter's Vengeance yet. I can play Hunter's Vengeance the following turn, perhaps. So the Witch's aggressive play meant that he couldn't bucks. That was great. I mean, he did bucks, but it didn't clear my front.
Yeah, and I took a ton of damage by doing that.
Right. I do think you were right to do that. And your calculation out with Tiger was also correct. So next we're going to transition to another matchup. This one, I'll be playing Shadowfen Midrange, and Sibaiko will be playing a Winter Control deck. So we'll see the Midrange versus Control deck now in the opposite direction. Let's give him a challenge, if we can find him. There he is. And let's go.
I accept. All right. I'm stuck going first here, and I guess I'll just throw this out. I think we just want to play cards. We've got a pretty high curve here, and we want to just make sure we get back to the card that we cycled as quickly as well, not as quickly as we can, but so it comes up on time. We want it on a very specific turn. And if we're only playing 1 card a turn, it's going to take us a little while to get there.
And we are in
So
trouble.
I think I would have held on to it because this next turn you're most likely just going to only play Hunter's Vengeance, and then the next turn you'll probably end up playing Fluffy. So the 2 mana card, regardless of whether it survives or not, is no big deal.
It's just something you want to hold on to in order to fill out your curve later on.
Yep.
Okay.
Since there's so few low mana cards in this deck.
So here we're going to, because how bad our opener was, we're just going to do this because it basically guarantees value next turn unless our opponent is playing exactly Hysteria. Anything he puts down this turn is likely going to get damaged and be more easily tradable with some of our other cards.
Now, Thomas, in the vein that you were just saying, should I, in fact, hold on to this, knowing that it's not really doing anything right now?
Yeah, I mean, you can put his thing down to 1 strength by playing it, or do nothing, and it's going to be at 2 strength. And next turn, he's probably going to send an entire wave of stuff at you.
All makes perfect sense to me. So we're just going to skip our turn. As the control deck here, we can take that luxury and hope that we'll make it back later on.
So looking what he's done for us, we have 2 4s, and we don't want to keep both of them. There is the off chance we hit Saber Paws, which would allow us to jump forward faster than Gifted Recruits. So I think we throw this, and we hit instead Hags. So I think I like just going forward with Gifted Recruits and then throwing Heliotroopers into A. And we're just going to try to march our way down the board if we can.
Well, this is interesting because we could just remove the Heliotroopers and then just say go, or get rid of this, throw this back. What do you think, Thomas?
Well, I shouldn't be giving the advice since I've got the entire side of what's going on. But you're playing into Shadowfen, so you want to keep either Fluffy or Void Surgers for a Rain of Frogs type of turn,
Yep.
or Azure Hatchers. So one of the 2 has to stay.
Yep.
And so it's either going to be just playing Loris or playing Hunter's Vengeance. Oh, and now perfect.
We'll see if we get the 50-50 here. We do not, but that's all right. It's in a nice blocking position.
All right, well, that was unfortunate. So on 5, we didn't see one of the cards that we're most concerned about, which is Frozen Core. So that means that we can either discount its existence or at least say that we don't have to worry about it for right now. Between these two, it's tempting to just do this and get 7 back and then put 6 in the corner. And I think that's going to be our play. So we're going to do this. We're going to cycle this. And we're going to stick to the plan.
Well, it's a pretty good plan.
Mhm.
Gonna get you some damage. And hate to do it, but I'm gonna float the mana and not cycle anything just because, to your point, Thomas, there's not a lot of low mana cards to fill out the curve, but if I come up with one, I'm happy. All we need to do here is survive a little bit longer.
They're going to start looking a lot cleaner.
So this is an interesting conundrum. There's oftentimes, I think, that we would like to play, this and then stick like a fluffy or something like that. We don't have that here. So I actually think, as weird as this sounds, the right play is to cycle 1 and 2.
I would have cycled green prototypes because you are about to hit 8 mana with Rain of Frogs and Prime Oracle. So get rid of the 1 drop to get something a little bit larger to be also able to play with Wild Saber Paws.
That's fair.
Gosh. Well, he caught us. We definitely can't do anything about that. And now that kind of feels like it makes this game over. Going down to 3 life is real bad.
And then here we have, I think, a pretty easy lethal.
Mm-hmm.
We can
So
go
why
1.
did you play freebooters on the left-hand side and not the right side where there was only a 1 health?
Well, I was thinking that he had to trade into the 1 strength and also the 5 strength in order to be able to put the saber paws in. I was not thinking about butchers removing the 1 strength. I was just thinking he needed to make 2 separate attacks as well as have the saber paws. So, that's 3 cards for 8 mana, which is definitely not unreasonable. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that makes sense with your
if he
reasoning.
can make if he can make 3 attacks, then he can make 2 attacks into the siege breakers and get the sabers on that side. So it's kind of
It is 8 mana, so there's also the possibility of something like Witches or Toad removing the 5, and then my green prototypes or my gifted recruits clearing the 1.
yeah.
There's a lot of ways that there's a lot of ways to find a Saber Paws lethal on that board.
Yeah, it was over really as soon as you tucked the Bragda into the corner. If you did not have the green prototypes, I could have mitigated a lot of that damage. But you were able to protect it, and I just didn't have enough that moved that let me deal with it.
Yeah,
Yep.
so we clipped out the first round of that matchup because we didn't quite like the winter control build. But in both of them, the same tactic from the mid-range deck was turned out to be successful, which was to not play for value, but instead to play for tempo. In both games, I played Bragda to your baseline as opposed to trying to get a Bragda Rain deck or a Bragda Rain turn out of the deck. I literally that game cycled. I played Bragda and cycled away Rain on 7 mana because my thought was I want to accelerate the end of this game. I'm going to put 11 there, push you down to 4, hopefully, and I'm coming back into my runners anyway. The only time I want to have to play Bragda Rain this game is if we end up coming back around to it. This game, I'm hoping, is over before we can hit your gift turn, so let's just go all in on that tactic.
You're right, because it's very tempting to just drop the rain on the middle of the board and say, I'm going to play Bragda next turn.
Mm-hmm.
But it turns out
It just
Bragda's
blows
kind
up
of.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I'm a poor mid-range player. I will admit that. I tend to either play my mid-range decks very controlling all the time, or very aggressive, almost like a rush deck all the time. I tend to go to one or other, and the real trick of a mid-range deck is being able to figure out which of the two roles you need to play every single game, and that's just one of those things that I'm not all that great at doing. This build of it, though, is you can see the alternative to Bragda is butchers. So so this deck is made to be very aggressive side of the mid range spectrum, and so that kind of helps me assume that role. I'm not sure how I would play against, say, another mid-range deck like a Zuri Swarm deck or even a Rush deck with this particular build. This build just happens to be a more aggressive build, mostly because it's what I can build to level 5.
So yeah, I gotta say I'm slightly surprised with how the matchups ended with how much AoE is in the Winter Control deck, but you correctly assessed that this is going to be a slower one and just went ham on it against a Jev deck that can bite you, but you
Yeah,
assessed the correct deck and did it.
I think that's the big mistake you need to try to avoid is early on you have to ask yourself, what am I playing against? And one of you is the control, one of you is the beatdown. And once you make the determination of who is what, then from there, that's what you are. My opponent skipped his second turn. He's the control.
That is true.
Like, if my opponent has nothing he can do on mana 4, I'm the beatdown. So from that moment on, right, my opener was trekking. My opener was a fairly conservative, if you're going to load up my baseline, I'm going to weaken everything kind of play out of necessity. Uh, uh, and then once I see mana turn 4 go the way it went, I know that the right thing for me to do now is to just go ham. Don't give my opponent an additional turn, because an additional turn against Winter means gift.
Now, what if that Sparkling Kitty that I played to attack your Healy troopers had actually cleared the unit instead of going the other way into the middle of the board, leaving you with no front and having to work your way back down? Do you think that changes this matchup?
I do think that the 50-50 significantly hurt you. You know, anytime you can, as Winter, anytime you can delay the game into your power turns, uh, it is difficult but not impossible for most Shadowfen decks to beat Winter late. The one exception is Bragda Rain decks, right? So this deck has a good chance of being able to do that late. But boy, is it a lot easier if you can prevent them from ever getting to the late game. It would have been a late game. That probably would have put me obviously defensively for a while, or at least not defensively, but building back from nothing. My Bragda is not getting put on your baseline. I'm holding it off for a Bragda Rain turn on 8. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at the whims of what transpires after that in terms of where the rain falls, as to how aggressive I can be for the next couple of turns. Yeah, no, I do think you're probably right. The kitty clear would have been, I think the foothold you needed to get the control deck to kind of step on the gas for a little bit.
Hmm.
Yep.
And based on that, I just swapped out Kitty for Gifted Recruits because I want that control, even though it's less power, I want the control to be able to reset that front. Because with a winter control deck like this, it's critical to reset your opponent's front or most of their front on like the 5 mana turn so that you've got the freedom on 6 mana to play that Dawn Sparks. If you get that Dawn Sparks play, you're good to go for essentially the rest of the game.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
that's another thing I've been learning playing my main deck actually into winter lately. Fady taught me this last week in Toad Games. I'll give a shout out to Fady. Don't just drop your rain against winter. Like, you don't do that against Shadowfen. Don't drop your rain anywhere near a Dawn Sparks turn. I gave Fady 2 turns in a row. He got
Oof.
one, and it was a line of 3 toads. So he got one, and then the next turn, one toad crashes into him. Okay, big deal. And then the next turn, he got to attack again. And so he got 2 turns in a row of extra mana from that Dawn Sparks, and oh man, I felt bad. And I killed chat.
No, I think this is a good matchup, and I guess that answers when winter control is starting to dominate the meta too much. I feel like the three of us can probably fairly confidently say that Shadowfen midrange is a good strategy against it, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's going to be it for the second meta matchup. Hopefully, some of you find this helpful, educational. Hopefully, some ideas on how to either better build or better play your decks into things you're running into on ladder. And for all of you out there, good luck. Hope you achieve new highest ranks this month. This is the Brood Sages reminding you to stay hydrated. All right, what do we think?
Oh, good.